What's going on, guys? Farzin Vasugian here with you for another episode of the Chief Zone podcast. Once again, it is another victory edition of the Chief Zone podcast. Yes, recapping another victory here on the Chief Zone podcast. And oh boy, what a game. It came down to the final minute again. Yes, again. What a game. Chiefs overcame some adversity in this one. Some ups and downs, some struggles, but they came through and they won at the end of the day. Appreciate you guys joining me for this episode of the Chief Zone podcast. Hope you're all having a good Sunday night. It's going to be a late night. We're going to be here. We're going to be here all night, celebrating, talking, enjoying this one. This has been a weird start to the NFL season because a lot of the top tier teams are either 1-2 or 0-3 to start the season. Teams like the Cowboys, the Bengals, the Ravens, the 49ers, the Rams. We got some we got some crazy rough starts here. Yeah, a lot of people talking about Mahomes' knee. I'll be honest, I was getting set up, so I was not really paying attention to that. I did see that weird little slide there. I didn't think much of it, but I hope he's okay because that. I didn't think much of it, but the fact that you guys are saying something about it here, we'll have to keep this Twitter machine up here to keep track of it. But boy, listen, some good, some bad. There's a lot to go over here, and I want to hear from you guys here. So let me just quickly get set up on my end. That way, I can see the live stream. And so I can pin the tweet, or not the tweet, I'm sorry, the comment with the phone calls, because I need you guys to call in here. I've got a lot of thoughts, and I'll get to those thoughts as we go on throughout the night. But I also want to hear from you guys. I just commented below with the link to call into the podcast, both on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you guys haven't done so already, click on the link, join us. Let's chat it up here. I don't see it on my end. Maybe if I comment with it one more time. There it is. I see it. I'm going to try to pin that. Come on, Facebook. Cooperate with me here. It's been a weird night. There we go. It is now pinned. You guys should be able to see that comment now. Hey, yeah, Tyler, I see your comment. Another late night, another win. Yeah, another game that came down to the wire, and the Chiefs pulled away with a win. Look, a lot of you guys are here, so let's get into it because I think this is very important here to note. We went over this last week, and this needs to be noted again. The Chiefs are going to get every team's best shot. You know who dealt with that for 18 years? The New England Patriots. Every team wanted to beat the Patriots because the Patriots, when they were led by Tom Brady for 18 years, they hardly ever lost. And, you know, even if you were able to make it a little close, there was, I guess, you know, a moral victory for some fan bases. I know that doesn't exist anymore in Kansas City. We don't do those kinds of things anymore. But that's just the way it works out. You're going to get every team's best shot. That's how it works. Every team is going to give you their best shot. And for the Chiefs to come through in the end there, and by the way, I do not want to hear any complaining from people outside of Kansas City about the officiating. Yeah, that was a missed call on Brian Cook, but guess what? The drive after that for the Falcons, boy, did they get away with one on that Trent McDuffie interference? Because it seemed like Ray McCloud just ran right into McDuffie, and they called that. There were 3 penalties against the Chiefs defense on that drive. So as far as I'm concerned, you can call it the makeup call it whatever. That's how it worked out, and it's an even playing field at that point. So you can't really blame the officials on this one here. And as far as I know, the Falcons got off to a great start in this game, and they were not the same since then. The Chiefs played way better. I thought the opening drive of the game with the defense, that was abysmal. I was expecting adjustments from Spags, which he did, but I was also a little concerned. But Spags made those adjustments. The defense turned around. Was it perfect the rest of the way? Absolutely not. I would say after that first drive, the only thing I really took issue with the Chiefs defense was the Kyle Pitts catch and run of 50 yards there. That was the only issue I really had with the Chiefs defense after the first drive. Chiefs defense played a lot better. Kind of gave you flashbacks of last year's Chiefs defense. And a lot of people keep talking these first 2 weeks. Oh, there's no Willie Gay. There's no L'Jarius Sneed. How is this? Well, what did they look like today? Because they didn't look like a team that was allowing opposing offenses to kind of beat them around there. And by the way, you know what else this defense has done? They have come through in the fourth quarter 3 weeks in a row. They did it against the Ravens, they did it against the Bengals, and they did it against the Falcons. What was the final play for all of those opposing offenses there? Well, for Lamar Jackson, he missed 2 wide open guys. For Joe Burrow, he got sacked on his final play of that game. And in this game, they had that run to the left, and they just got ate up in the backfield for a massive loss. Could not have drawn that any better if you're the Chiefs defense. They hurried in and they swallowed that play up. Call it ugly win, call it lucky, whatever. Man, I still remember 15 years ago when the Chiefs were on the opposite side of ugly and luck. They could not get luck on their side. They were just terrible. They were just bad. There's nothing wrong with being lucky in these situations. There's nothing wrong with having ugly wins. The Patriots had a lot of those over the years because, like I said earlier, what did I say at the beginning to start off this podcast? You're going to get every team's best shot. That's just the way it works. Yeah, I was predicting a one-sided game last week. I thought this was, I don't want to say this was going to be a one-sided game, but I did predict a 2-possession win for the Chiefs. They probably should have done it. And again, I'll go back to my criticism of the Chiefs offense, where I feel like they haven't done a good job of closing teams out. And I'm sure the Chiefs are going to work on that. But man, there's a lot to feel good about in this game. Travis Kelce had a very slow first half, kind of got going in the second half a little bit. I think there's still some question marks as to how to get him more involved. I think the Chiefs kind of figured that out a little bit in the second half. Rashee Rice, man, what a game for him. He played great in this football game. He came very close to breaking his single game record for most yards in a game. He had 130 yards against the Dolphins in the playoffs. But as far as regular season goes, this is Rashee Rice's best game of his career, his very young career. And listen, we all know the story about Rashee Rice in the offseason and what happened with him. I think with moments like that and the guys who you're surrounded by, guys like Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, coaches and players, I think there are going to be a lot of people that, will have some conversations with you behind closed doors, and they'll keep those conversations private, and they'll let you know you can't be doing those things. Obviously, Rice will be suspended at some point. It's not going to be anytime soon, but he's going to have to suffer the consequences at some point. But days like this, you got to hope that Rashee Rice understands the magnitude of things that happen off the field and he learns from it. But as far as on the field goes with Rashee Rice, boy, he is playing like a grown-ass man. This guy looks like a true number one receiver in the NFL. Playing way better than last year. Obviously, last year he was a rookie, part of a wide receiver group that had all kinds of issues, if we're being completely honest here. But he grew. During his rookie season, he still had his rookie errors even in the playoffs. But now in his sophomore season in the NFL, he has made a massive jump from his rookie season to his sophomore season. He looks more explosive. He looks more fast. He's winning a lot of one-on-one battles. Defenses are having a very difficult time containing him. He is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now. No question about it. This is going to be one of those games where you look at Rashee Rice and defenses are going to try to figure out how do you stop Rashee Rice. And by the way, I was talking to Zach. You guys know Zach. He's done some podcasts with me. With Kelce's struggles right now, and part of it is defenses zeroing in on him, and I think that plays a role in Rashee Rice getting open and being free and dominating the way he has these last 3 games. What if defenses started closing in more on Rice? Does that hurt Rice's ability to have these big kind of games? Yeah, it does. But what else could that do? That might open the door back up for a guy like Travis Kelce. Because again, you can't double team everybody unless you have 2 players that you use in pass blocking situations. You can't double team every pass catcher on the field. You just can't do that. So this is going to be one of those games where I think defenses are going to look at the Chiefs and they're going to realize, okay, if we zero in on Rashee Rice, that's going to open the door for Travis Kelce. Obviously, you can't forget about Xavier Worthy. I know since that week 1 game, he hasn't necessarily had a big standout game, but he's a rookie. He's getting his feet wet. He'll get through it as we go on. He had 3 rushes in this game. Also had a couple of catches, 2 catches for 17 yards. So I think the Chiefs are still trying to figure things out with Xavier Worthy. But understand this: even with the issues right now you have, and the Chiefs have some issues right now. Hollywood Brown's not playing. Isaiah Pacheco just got hurt. Travis Kelce's off to a very slow start, and you're still 3-0. That, I think, is the best part about this Chiefs team. I mean, I expect Travis Kelce to get going at some point. I don't think these slow performances, I don't think they're going to happen every single game. I think he'll pick it up and get going at some point. Do I think he's going to surpass the 1,000-yard mark at this point? Probably not. But at some point, he's going to get going. Juju Smith-Schuster got involved in this one. Rice got hurt for a little bit, had to leave the game for 1 play. Who steps up? Juju Smith-Schuster. And look, I said this last year because last year was a bad year for quarterbacks in terms of injuries. This year, and by the way, the team specifically would be the Bengals and the Browns. The Browns went through a convention with their quarterback room. They still made it to the playoffs. I know it was a very short-lived run for them. The Bengals still finished above 500. So those two teams, they proved that injuries are not an excuse. You look at the NFL right now. The Rams are without 2 great wide receivers. The 49ers have all kinds of injuries with their offense right now. Got a couple of other teams dealing with injuries. And I mentioned the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs have their issues with injuries right now. And who came in filling in for Rice on that 1 play? It was Juju. And that was a touchdown there. So, and I know Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico, they did a good job kind of labeling it out, how Juju was kind of helping separate the defense a little bit there. And I think if the Chiefs can do more of that, that'll allow Travis Kelce to get more open and get more opportunities. And again, I think you're kind of moving in the right direction. I know it's not a big flashy game for Kelce, but I thought this was a better game for Kelce than it has been the last 2 games. Definitely last week for sure. You look at Rice. He had 12 catches for 110 yards. Who had the second most receptions? It was Kelce, 4 for 30. Then it's Samaje Perine, 3 for 15. Juju and Worthy each had 2. And then you have Watson, Gray, and Steele, who all had 1 apiece. And then you look at the running backs. Carson Steele got involved a lot in this game. 17 carries for 72 yards. Hope you all hit the over with Carson Steele. By the way, Mark Van Sickle was texting me. He said whoever bet the over on Mahomes' rushing yards, they got screwed on those final 3 QB kneels. So that sucks. But that's just the way it works sometimes. Samaje Perine also got involved. I was a little surprised Samaje Perine was not used more in the second half. Why didn't we see more of that? He had 6 carries for 25 yards at halftime, and they did not get him the ball on the ground again the rest of the game. So I'm kind of curious why that was. Hopefully we get to see more of that. I know Kareem Hunt's probably expected to come back into the fold and be part of the main roster here. But in general, listen, the offense, has it been pretty? No. Defense, has it been pretty? No. Special teams, in general, has been very good. Obviously, you had a couple of mishaps today with the snap from Winchester and the missed PAT by Butker. But in general, you've found a way to win games. You're 3-0. And again, I do want to go back to the defense because the defense has had a really rough go at it this year. They really have. They've played 3 good quarterbacks. And again, I think Kirk Cousins is highly underrated, if in my opinion here. But man, the final sequence of events in that Baltimore game, the final offensive play for the Bengals, they got sacked by Shamari Connor. Joe Burrow got sacked by Shamari Connor. And then in this game, Nick Bolton and that Chiefs defense swarming in on Bijan Robinson. What a stand by the defense. This defense has not been good. It's been rough. But this defense, doesn't matter if it's this year, last year, or the year before that, under Steve Spagnuolo, this defense has found a lot of ways to come through in the fourth quarter. That cannot be taken away from this defense. And listen, Nick Bolton, he got a lot of flack from a lot of people, including me. So you guys know me. I always say bring the same energy. If you're going to heavily criticize someone for a poor performance, better bring it up when they have a big time performance. And Nick Bolton by far had his best game of the year. Got hurt in this one and had to come out of the game a little bit, but he came back and he made the game-saving play. This is Nick Bolton's second game-saving play of the year. Pushed Isaiah Likely just a teeny tiny bit out, just a toe out, but that's all you needed to prevent the touchdown. And he had that massive stop on Bijan Robinson. That's what this defense has done for you this year. It's not pretty, but they're finding ways to make a stand in the fourth quarter. Those final sequence of events there, huge for the Chiefs defense. And again, it's not like you're playing, Dak Prescott, who's been bad this year. You're not playing those kinds of quarterbacks. You're playing Lamar Jackson, who's won 2 MVPs. You're playing Joe Burrow. If we're being honest, they make such a big deal about how great he is and how he's had the Chiefs number, even though he hasn't beat the Chiefs in a couple of years now. And then you have Kirk Cousins, who, in my opinion, is heavily underrated and very underappreciated wherever he goes, it feels like. That's how good this defense has been. 3 good quarterbacks, and they've been winning all of them in close games. You're going to have a lot of these games because every team is going to give you their best shot. Hey, at least the Chiefs covered the spread. That's always a big talking point, right? The Chiefs don't cover the spread. Well, they covered today, didn't they? Because what was it? It was like a 4.5 point spread, and then it dropped as the week went on. So as far as I'm concerned, didn't they cover? So there's that there. By the way, just commented with the link. I know it's a late night, so probably a lot of you guys are in situations where you can't really speak very loudly. So I don't know if we're going to have a lot of video calls tonight, but we'll see how it goes. Oh, we don't want it. Sorry, I'm listening to Andy Reid here. It's kind of hard to do because I know you guys can't hear. We haven't figured out really how to get that part going, but we'll get it at some point. Man, these are okay. A lot of you guys can't see the link. I don't get why it's not letting you show the link. Let me try this one more time. I'm typing in capital letters. Call into the podcast with your thoughts. I don't know why. This has been an issue the last couple of weeks. I just commented here. And in fact, we got one person on hold right now. So I just commented in capital letters, call into the podcast. So I hope you guys see it. What do I think of Carson Steele? I mean, listen, this guy is not going to have big run. What was his biggest run today? 9 yards. Okay. He's a fullback. I know there are a lot of people. Oh, he's a running back. No, he's a fullback. No, he's a running back. I think he's a fullback. He's listed as one on the team's website. So, and I think with his build and everything, the guy's a fullback. I don't think you can really look at him and call him a running back. Maybe, at some point running backs look like this, but this is 2024. Times have changed, as you guys know. But I think with Carson Steele right now, filling in for Isaiah Pacheco, who, if he had 17 carries in this game, he probably surpasses the 100-yard mark or close to it. Carson Steele did his job in this football game, coming through with some key runs. And again, I think the Chiefs complicated it at times, especially on 3rd and short early in the game. They were able to get it on 4th down. The Falcons challenged that, unable to get that turned around, but the Chiefs found a way. And Carson Steele was a big part of the ground game in this one here. 72 yards on the ground. Andy Reid already done talking. That was a very quick press conference for Andy Reid. Interesting. Okay. Did someone upset Andy Reid in the press conference? Because or is that just normal for him? I don't know. That felt like a very quick press conference, unless the live stream I was watching. Oh, I love it. Someone tweeted me, did you forget to Venmo the refs? Oh, I love that. I love that. Andy Reid did say we've got a lot of things to work on. He also said that the team has no injuries to report. So for those who were concerned about the Patrick Mahomes slide with the knee, ankle, and that weird couple plays there on the QB kneels, it doesn't seem like there's anything to be concerned about, according to Andy Reid. So take that for what it's worth to you. All right, we got a couple people on hold here. If you guys want to call in here, the link should be on there. It should be pinned as well. I'll comment again with it shortly, but let's start things off here with Daniel. Daniel's going to kick us off here. Daniel, what's going on? What's on your mind?
Nothing. It was good game. I missed the first quarter, was out, but I saw that BJ Robinson play, they showed a replay. That was the same exact play that they scored the touchdown on, where they barely made it. And it was just a great read by Nick Bolton. I'm glad that he wasn't seriously injured because I saw him holding like his lower back.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he came in. I liked Wanya Morris. Anytime you didn't hear the left tackle, we didn't hear a lot from that. That was
a great point. Yes, that's a great point.
That's a great move. And I just love the way this defense is playing. I mean, yeah, it was shaky, but the last 3 games, I mean, you beat Lamar, who was MVP last year. Burrow, even though he's injured prone, but he's still, to me, on my eyes, one of the greatest quarterbacks as far as numbers go. And then Kirk Cousins, I mean, I know it's a new team, but still, I'm like, whew. I mean, catch a break next week with probably no Justin Herbert, but
yeah. Listen, Kirk Cousins led his team to a game-winning drive on Monday Night Football. So
yes, he did. I remember watching that game. And then I got to look, Carson still I saw a stat. I was watching the Sunday night thing, and he said 54% of his carries are positive runs because they interviewed Carson Still with Tony Dungy and all them. I'm like, dude must be having the time of his life right now. It's great. And like I said, it was a great win. I'll take it 3-0, on to the next one. And it was, and like I told you, I was like, wonder what the defense is doing with Kelsey, but they're going to have to focus on Rashee Rice. And I do believe that once they do that, the Kelsey's numbers are going to improve. So I'm not too concerned yet.
All right. Well, Daniel, I appreciate your phone call. Great thoughts there. And Daniel mentioned Wanya Morris. I completely forgot to mention him to start things off. I mentioned him at halftime. Didn't mention him to start things off here. Wanya Morris. And look, let's give some credit to the coaching staff here for making this call here. Because Kingsley, he struggled, and I think Kingsley will get back into the fold. Listen, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But I think Kingsley today, he had a solid performance. When you don't, there was only one play I really took issue with. Not Kingsley, Wanya Morris, and that was on the play where Mahomes was almost sacked, and he got rid of it. There was a receiver in the vicinity there, so it was not intentional grounding, even though the Falcons wanted that. That was the only issue I had with Wanya Morris in this game. What happens moving forward, I don't know. And I'll say this: Wanya Morris, give him a lot of credit, a lot of props in this game. Next week's game is going to be tougher though. And I'm not sure how often he's going to be lining up against Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa. I know Joey Bosa got hurt. And by the way, I saw a question earlier. I completely lost it. Someone was asking, Ida was asking if Herbert's going to be out for next. Well, we don't know. I mean, we're not going to know. We're not going to have an indication until Wednesday, and that's just a first indication. So we won't know for a few days there, Ida. I know that's a question a lot of people have on their minds now. But they're going to go through the evaluation, all of that stuff, and they'll eventually get us the word on at least Wednesday to start. Because Wednesday is the first day of the injury report if you have a game on Sunday. If your game is on Monday, then the first day of the injury report is Thursday. You get the idea. So we won't know anytime soon. But anyway, my point about next week is Wanya Morris is going to have a much tougher test next week, whether it's going to be Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa if Joey Bosa plays. So we'll have to see how that goes. Charlie, I'm going to get to you in a second here. If you guys want to call in, I'm commenting with the link again. Ida, I apologize. Listen, if it makes you feel better, everyone calls me Farzan. I just commented with the link again. Hopefully you all see it. It's on Facebook and on YouTube. So click on the link, turn on your audio in your video, put in your name, and let's chat it up. So the link is right there. Charlie, you've been waiting patiently. How are you, Charlie?
Man, I'm great. I don't know how good my audio is coming through because I'm not using my other
you're
mic.
good.
Good old MacBook. I love it. Yeah, so the Falcons Chiefs household was a little tense for a bit there late in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. Didn't you say your wife's a Falcons fan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I remember your comment.
She's from Georgia, so
okay.
Yeah. We were very quiet for the first half. And then as it got really touch and go there in the fourth quarter, we both were giving a couple shouts, nothing overzealous like it would be if it was just one of our teams playing. So, but it was good. I want to say that I know that the internet investigators are going to be all over this, but the non-call in the end zone, that's going to be a hot topic. Everybody strap in. That's going to be all over everybody's feed.
Do you have your conspiracy hat nearby by chance?
No, I don't.
No, that's okay. All right.
No, I mean, I've got people that are on my Facebook feed that are anti-Chiefs, and that's all that I seem to be hearing about is, oh, the refs, as we all have. But without not counting that play, I would say that from both teams, it seemed to be a pretty clean game. At least I wasn't really keeping track of how many penalties there were, but it seemed to be fairly clean, especially from the right tackle position of the offensive line for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean,
number 74.
Yeah, Jawan Taylor. I mean, listen, he's always pushing the envelope there. I know Lane Johnson does a very similar. And by the way, to answer your question about the penalties here, both teams penalized 6 times. The Chiefs for 61 yards, the Falcons for 44 yards. So if we want to mention the refs, the Chiefs had more penalty yards in this one than the Falcons did. Same amount of penalties, but the Chiefs had 17 more penalty yards.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think it was a pretty clean game overall. You know, the horse collar tackle that could have ended very badly. I was also, like you, I was glad to see Nick Bolton come back in and make that play after the injury. And it was kind of bizarre. It didn't at first when he started grabbing at his back, I thought, oh no. And then they played the replay and he didn't really have any contact with it. It was just like he tweaked it maybe or something. I don't know. But yeah, looking forward to divisional play and getting back for this three-peat.
All right, I appreciate it. By the way, before you get out of here, I see the flag in the background. Did you serve in the Navy?
Yeah, I was active duty Navy for 10 and a half years. I was on submarines.
Okay, well, anytime you know a member of the military or the first responder always calls or interacts with me, I always like to give that mention. And so I just want to say thank you for your service. I appreciate you, Charlie.
You're worth it.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Charlie. Hey, thanks for calling in. You have a great night, and hopefully the household can stay civil the rest of the night there. Appreciate those who have called in so far. I'm going to comment with the link again. If you want to call in like Daniel, like Charlie, please do so. The link is right there. Listen, with the officiating, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Did the Chiefs get away with one in the end zone there? Yeah. Guess what? The following drive for the Falcons, they got away with one on Trent McDuffie. Their second week in a row, Trent McDuffie's been hosed by a bad call. So I don't want to hear anything about favoritism and all this bullshit. The refs. Yeah, tell that to Trent McDuffie. I would love for you to tell that to Trent McDuffie. 2 weeks in a row. First when Jamar Chase was dragging him down and got called for DPI. And then in this one where, who was it? Ray McLeod just ran into him and they called him for that flag there. Yeah. Let's have a conversation about that. I know those people do not want to have that conversation. And by the way, how many defensive penalties did we see on that final drive? 3. So let's not get carried away with the refs and all this bullshit here. Listen, I'm a huge MMA fan, and in fact, I think one of our callers, Daniel, he told me this once before. In MMA, I'm a huge UFC fan, but in MMA, there is this saying: do not leave the fight in the hands of the judges, because judging is absolutely awful in MMA, like really, really bad. And MMA is like, that's a tougher sport there, because that's when, you know, if a judge gives a bad score and you lose, that can really set a fighter back in their career and in their positioning with potentially being a number one contender for a title. In a sport like MMA, man, it can really screw you over. Not as bad in the NFL or the NBA or wherever, but man, it's just bad officiating happens. The Chiefs have dealt with it. You know what's funny is people are saying the Chiefs are now the Patriots and they're getting all the calls. You know what's funny, especially in the social media era that we are in. You get to see everyone's opinions. And Patriots fans constantly complain that the refs are out to get them. Meanwhile, all the other 31 fan bases said the complete opposite. They're like, oh, no, you guys get all the calls. Now it's the other way around. I see a lot of Chiefs fans who complain about officiating, and then the 31 other fan bases are like, no, you get all the calls. Stop complaining. I mean, everyone does it. Everyone does it. Steve, you are on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's going on, Steve?
Not much. Yeah, watch that kind of barn burner there. It was nice for the defense to kind of hold their ground there on that 4th and inches. Unreal. I mean, they bend don't break, and they find a way. It's unreal.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Got to give them credit. It has not been pretty for our defense, but these fourth quarters, they always come through on top.
Yeah, they sure do, and I mean everybody is giving the Chiefs their best shot, right? Back to back. No team's ever done it in the Super Bowl era to go for the three-peat, and yeah, it's exciting times ahead, and it's I with the whole Kelsey situation. There's a guy. He was conversing on my page, and the page, but he goes, he's talking about, kind of the decline of Kelsey and that sort of thing. And I don't really want to believe it. I know nothing lasts forever, but I'd like to think he has some tread on the tires. I know we want to make a family trip down to KC in 2026, so hopefully he can stay on for that.
Okay. Yeah. Nothing wrong with planning ahead.
That's true. So the Chiefs right now, they're holding their ground at 3-0. I mean, the Saints game on the 7th of October there.
Yeah,
that's going to be the test.
I agree.
They did not have the offensive explosion today against the Eagles. So with Snead, again, you can't keep all the the presents. Sometimes you have to exchange some of them, right? So that's all part of it. But you know what, 3-0, we'll take it.
All right. Well, Steve, I appreciate it, and I've been on your podcast before. Real quickly, go ahead and give that a plug before you get out of here.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. Anybody can join my podcast. Join the page. Late Night with Smitty. I interview former players and that sort of thing. I interviewed Brad Johnson back in April. Played in the NFL many years ago. Won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers in Super Bowl 37.
All right, good deal. Well, hey, Steve, I appreciate it. You are our neighbor to the north. Appreciate you all the years, all the support, and thanks for calling in. All right, you have a great rest of your night. Hey, real quickly, Patrick Mahomes did his press conference. I think he's still doing it based on what I'm seeing on Twitter. Just a couple of quotes from him. I haven't played very well. I have to get my base right. I'm trusting my arm too much. I got to get back to my fundamentals. Well, there's a guy that's acknowledging. That's always like the first step to, trying to improve is acknowledging the errors you have. He also, I'm trying to say, he says his footwork stuff and getting his base right are the key. Yeah, we just kind of read that. We're calling a lot of plays for Travis, and 2 or 3 people are going to him. Okay, well, there's that explanation there. So, hey, they know it. They're aware of it. They're always gonna point it out. My co-host from Farscast, ladies and gentlemen, Melody McAllister is here. Melody, what's up?
Hey, I wasn't planning on being here, but
Well, you're here.
And I just want to say thank you for saving me from having a heart attack at the end. I was just like,
Melody was texting me in the end, freaking out.
Yeah, I was just like, what was that? Like, aren't we supposed to be running the clock down? And then it was like the Falcons had it again, and I'm just, I knew in the back of my mind Butker could probably do a field goal and get us out of anything. But that was a surprising end. I will say I was glad that we won by more than just a toe or a point. So
this was a little more comfortable.
Yes. Although they're going to claw and scrape their way through this season, just like they always do. Getting that three-peat isn't going to be easy. The refs aren't going to give it to us. We're going to watch our team scrape and claw every inch of the way. I can't wait for next week against the Chargers. That's always fun because I always think it's going to be an easy win. And sometimes the Chargers really bring it out. And I'm just like, what? It's crazy.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right.
And I just want to say Bob is also on. I will say hi to Bob. Can we all 3 be on? I love Bob.
Okay, you called it. Let's do it. Bob, what's going
Hey,
on?
Bob.
Hey, what's up? Go Chiefs.
Woo! Go
Hey,
Chiefs.
I got to tell you guys, man, I've been watching that last game last week, and I was wrong on my cornerbacks, but this Connor's he's really starting to come in his own, man.
Yes.
And
Shamar Connor's looking great.
And Duffy's really playing some pretty good ball. Every play's a big play, man, when you got these big receivers. and these guys are pros for a reason, and us sitting back here watching them, it's always good to be on this side of the fence because we can kind of have fun with it and critique it a little bit. But Bolton, man, he's my boy. You know that, Kvar.
Yeah.
I say pay my boy, because I don't want to lose another defender because defenses win championships. And that's where, in the old school, man, that's the way we grind. And
He's had a really rough go, but he's had 2 clutch moments this year already.
yes, he has.
And he stepped up today.
And that Morris move over on that left tackle spot, man, that seemed to clean that up a little bit. And I don't know what it is. I think Patty's just not comfortable in his own shoes right now.
You're 100% right. Yeah, he does look very uncomfortable. And Kelsey just, it's hard to get him into a rhythm. You kind of saw a little bit of that to start the second half, but still, you would expect more from that. I'll repeat what I said earlier, because I think Rice, who's having a great season to start things off, making that massive jump from his rookie year to his sophomore year, I think defenses are going to start paying more attention to Rice, and I think that's going to take his production away a little bit. And I think that opens up the door for Travis Kelsey. I do think that's going to be the key.
And they'd be a fool to just let Kelsey run wild and free because he's a freak, man. That dude, he can catch about anything if it gets close to him. And and then you got that rookie, man. He's just got to keep continuous running them routes, man. Because just because the ball isn't coming right now doesn't mean he's not already planning to lead that out there like he did. And he stopped and sat down, and you don't sit down, man. You just keep running them routes until something opens up or completes. But I thought it was, of course, every game with the Chiefs, you're sitting on the edge. I got my rug down here, and it's starting to shed a little bit from my feet being so nervous, during the game, But I have a really good time with it, and I've been watching them a long time, man. I've been watching them since the 60s. And
wow.
when I was a little boy, and so, it's this team's getting better, man. And I know we got a few injuries, but man, they clean this stuff up. It's looking good for us. And there was 4 or 5 penalties there at the end. And of course, we all know you can be called for holding on any call on any play.
Yeah.
But Atlanta got 3 for that one that they missed in the end zone before the game. So, but I think what turned this whole game around is that Connor's interception and handoff to the other kid that ran it down to the 4 or 5 more yards on the return. I think that was the key turnaround in that game because we got the ball right back before the half. I think that held us in this thing. And it's always good to see you, Melody.
You too, Bob. I'm so glad that we got to be on this together.
Yeah, far as my man. I mean, he's got the show.
He does.
He does an excellent job. Congrats on the mile marker 100,000.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, all of you.
You, Fars, because I know you work hard at it.
Thank you so much.
Farzine, you bring Chiefs Kingdom together all over the world, wherever we are.
Yeah, I try my best. Before I let both of you go, do you guys have any last thoughts?
No, thanks for having me.
All right, appreciate it, Bob. Melody, any last words from you?
Yeah, I just love watching this team. They're never out. They're never too far away from, it's always exciting watching this team, and I'll always be a fan. So, and thanks for having me on.
All right. Appreciate the both of you guys. You guys both have a great night. Melody, I know it's a little not too late for you, but I know in Alaska it's it's a little later. It's not really Sunday night football. It's like more like Sunday evening football. But nonetheless, I appreciate both of you guys. Both of you have a great night. I know those of you called in so far. Appreciate you guys. Here's the call-in link. One last time. Let me go ahead and drop that in there for those who want to call in. By the way, there was a comment during those calls right there. This came from Charlie. He said, Casey is everyone's Super Bowl. This might be the truest comment of the night here. Somebody was commenting on my Twitter earlier this week. They're like, "Oh, you're celebrating a Bengals." Well, yeah, of course we're going to celebrate a Bengals win, especially with all the shit they talk, their players, their fans, all that stuff. Someone, and that same person said that was Cincinnati's Super Bowl. You're really going to say that your game in week 2 was a Super Bowl? And then what did Atlanta say? There was a tweet from Schefter that tonight's game for the Falcons was the biggest game ever since they opened their stadium in 2017. This is a week 3 game, and they're calling it the biggest game they've had since the stadium opened. Like, that's how big of a deal the Chiefs are to everybody as they're trying to make history and go for 3 in a row. Yeah, a lot of people also talking about the left tackle here. He really stepped it up. Look, this whole thing with the left tackle, I don't know what's going to happen. Next week's going to be a much bigger test than tonight. I'll tell you that. But I think at the end of the day, this is a situation where for now you got a good starting point. How do you carry that over to next week and the week after? Before your bye. And I'll say this, I said this earlier this week and I'll say it again. I know a lot of people were frustrated with the time of the bye. I think given the injuries, not that Hollywood Brown and Isaiah Pacheco are going to come back anytime soon, but I think given some of the inconsistencies on offense and some of the injuries you've got going on right now, I think, this is a good time to have your bye. If you can pull through, and I know the Chiefs have a really, really, really rough end to the season with the way the scheduling works, but if you can pull through in the end and try to lock up the number 1 seed before the bye week, because there's a very significant gap between Christmas, which is their second to last game, and their final game, which is either going to be January the 4th or January the 5th. There's going to be a really big gap there because you're going to be playing on a Wednesday, Christmas Day. So Kansas City can really build themselves kind of like a massive bye week there, a massive couple bye weeks. That'd be very huge for this team. And maybe that increases Hollywood's chance of coming back. Maybe you can rest up Isaiah Pacheco again, because Isaiah Pacheco will come back, but that would really help out a lot. Let me just go through the stat sheet there, see if there's anything I missed out here. You know what I mentioned at halftime, because the Chiefs were dominating time of possession by a lot. The Chiefs won time of possession in this game. 34 minutes and 57 seconds to Atlanta's 25:03. You know, it's another thing I did not mention in this postgame, but I did mention at halftime. The Chiefs in the first quarter, they were not blitzing much. And that is like the same thing happened last week. They weren't really going after Joe Burrow in the first half. And when they did it in the second half, you saw Cincinnati struggle more and having to claw more against this Chiefs defense. They still found a way to move the football and score on the Chiefs in the second half, but it wasn't as easy as it was in the first half. So the Chiefs did a better job of sending linebackers and defensive backs to go after Joe Burrow, something they did not do in the first half. In this game in the first quarter, Chiefs were very quiet about utilizing the linebacker and DB blitzes and dime and nickel packages. And this is something I made a big deal of in the offseason. Then you look at the Chiefs in this game after that first quarter, they started doing it more. That pressure by Turk Wharton, and I don't remember who had the interception. I'll look it up right now real quickly. I should have had it by now. It's Shamari Connor. And then he tossed it back to Jalen Watson. By the way, do the Chiefs practice that or something? Because on the Tyreek Hill fumble last year in Germany, whoever scooped it up tossed it backwards to Brian Cook. Like, the Chiefs have these like heads up moments here on defense where they get the ball, they're about to get brought down, but if they see an open defender teammate next to them, essentially, they do a nice little lateral there to get some yards there. So Jalen Watson, no interceptions for him, but he does get credited for 12 interception yards in this game, according to ESPN stat sheet here. But anyway, my point is, Turk Wharton getting to Kirk Cousins before halftime was huge. And even that moment where FAU, who, has been very quiet so far in his NFL career, he went out there and forced that fumble, getting to Kirk Cousins. You saw the Chiefs really rattle Kirk Cousins in this game. And by the way, how many points did the Falcons score in the second half? 3 points. That's it. So they got off to a really hot start to open up the game. I mean, they made the Chiefs defense look like fools. And then what happened after that? You only had one touchdown the rest of the game. We see when you open up a game with a touchdown, that is a great way to set the tone and try to dictate the rest of the game. But after that, all you had was one more touchdown. If the Chiefs ever opened up with a touchdown and they only had one more the rest of the game, I think we'd all be talking about it. How do you start so hot and then go almost quiet the rest of the game? This Chiefs defense found a way. This is by far the best performance for the defense. I think in terms of, total yardage and everything, this is definitely the best game for the Chiefs so far. And I think it definitely helps because the Chiefs, they've always been on the wrong end, especially a couple of weeks ago. The Ravens ran 25 more plays than the Chiefs. And that always hurts time of possession. And that always hurts the defense too. Defense will always be gassed out. But man, this Chiefs defense really pulled through in this one because it was the Chiefs who ran more plays than the Falcons. Chiefs had 72 plays. Falcons had 56 total yardage. Chiefs had 345. Falcons had 311. That's not, bad nor dominant by either team there. So I think, both defenses can kind of look at this game and feel good about certain things. Obviously, Justin Simmons with that big pick to open up the Chiefs side of things there on their first drive. But fortunately for the Chiefs, they were able to recover. You know what I really liked about the Chiefs in this game? They were much better about third down in this game. A lot better. That is something that I was pleased to see. I think the Chiefs had only converted on like 4 or 5 third downs coming into this game. They were 6 of 14 on third down in this one. Atlanta was 2 of 9. And by the way, Atlanta was 1 of 3 on fourth downs. I think both the Chiefs and the Bengals were 2 of 2 on fourth downs last week. So Chiefs defense, third down efficiency and fourth down efficiency, huge in this one. 3 of 12. Wow. That I think is the on the Kelsey podcast, they have the LeBron stat of the week. That's the LeBron stat of the week in this one here. 3 of 12 on third and fourth down combined for the two defenses. And I see a lot of you guys mentioning Nick Bolton. Yeah, he was a huge part of that. And I'll say something earlier for those who may have missed it. Nick Bolton, I was very critical of him, and so were a lot of you. He stepped up in this game. I think Drew Tranquill, who I have yet to mention his name tonight, Drew Tranquill stepped up and had a much better game. I think the Chiefs found maybe a little bit of a turning point here. And listen, I know some people picked Atlanta to kind of be the dark horse team this year. I'm not really so sold on Atlanta, at least not yet. As much as I like Kirk Cousins, I really do. But I do think they have some good pieces on their offense. Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod. I think those are, a solid trio of receivers there. I don't think it's anything similar to what the 49ers have prior to their injuries, but I think that's a solid trio to work with. I think Kyle Pitts is a decent tight end there. Bijan Robinson is a very good running back. But man, did the Chiefs have their way with him in this one. 16 carries for 31 yards, 1.9 yards per carry. There are some really nice defensive stats to read for tonight. So, I like what I saw from the Chiefs in this game. I really do. Defensively, they stepped up. And I think this is a nice little turning point here. I know the Chargers are banged up, so I don't know how big of a test it's going to be for the Chiefs defense against this Chargers offense. Bosa's hurt. Herbert's hurt. John Alt got hurt in this game. That could be a serious blow to the Chargers team if he's going to be out for a significant amount of time, especially this upcoming week. So that's going to be very interesting to see. And by the way, how about those Las Vegas Raiders? They got worked by the Panthers. Andy Dalton. What a game for him. And I know the Raiders scored some points. That's called garbage stats right there. Garbage time touchdowns. They had a lot of garbage stats in the fourth quarter today. Did you hear their fans booing? I don't think their fans are bragging about those fourth quarter stats there. Not one bit. Not one bit. Let's look across the NFL real quickly here as we start to wrap up the podcast here. When you look at the NFL right now, there are only 5 unbeaten teams. 4 of them are 3-0. One of those undefeated teams plays tomorrow. In fact, we have 2 games tomorrow. So the Vikings, Steelers, Chiefs, and Seahawks. Boy, I did not. If you told me the Seahawks, Steelers, and Vikings would have the same record as the Chiefs, I'd be concerned. I would be very concerned. But no, thankfully, it's not a bad thing if you're a Chiefs fan. They're all 3-0. Buffalo has a chance to be 3-0, and I think Buffalo will improve to 3-0 tomorrow. But then you look at the bottom half. You got a lot of one-win football teams right now, and a couple of other winless teams. You have the Bengals who are 0-2. I do think they're going to win tomorrow. You have the Cowboys who are 1-2. The 49ers are 1-2. Cleveland, I mean, I guess some people thought Cleveland was going to be on the right track with Deshaun Watson and everyone coming back. They're 1-2. Baltimore's 1-2. The Rams are 1-2. Miami's 1-2. I mean, you've got some teams that I think were maybe not all of those teams I just mentioned were all going to be Super Bowl contenders, but I think at the very least, those teams were expected to either be Super Bowl contenders or at least have a very good shot of winning their divisions. I know I mentioned a couple of teams from the same division right there, but I still think those are teams that have they've been highly touted this offseason, especially teams like, the Browns and the Bengals who are, leaning on being healthy to start things off. But man, it just has not been the case. And this has kind of been a bad year already for injuries. The Bengals, I just mentioned, they've been without T. Higgins. I think he's going to play. He is going to play tomorrow, in fact. I mentioned the 49ers. They've been dealing with some serious injuries. The Rams have two great wide receivers who are out. The Miami Dolphins with Tua right now. The Chiefs have had their share of injuries so far to start the year. It's not an excuse at the end of the day. You got to find ways to win. Injuries are part of sports. It's up to you to figure out how you work around them. And the Chiefs, they've done a good job. Not only has this been a bad year with injuries, this has also been a bad year for offenses to kind of start things off here. So it's been kind of a rough go at it for a lot of these teams. Thankfully, and listen, even the Chiefs have dealt with some of the problems. Look at the win differential for the Chiefs, plus 13. That's not very high. So that tells you all of their games have been close. Not that I need to remind you guys know this, but look at the Vikings, who are also 3-0, plus 55. Look at the Steelers, plus 25. Look at the Seahawks, plus 30. The Bills, they've only played 2 games. They're at plus 27. Now, obviously, some teams, I don't think that any team has had an easier start here. The Chiefs sure as hell have not had an easy start. I think they've had the hardest start to the season. In terms of, quality of opponents. I know both the Ravens and the Bengals are 0-2 to start the season, but I don't think those are two pushover teams. I think they'll both get going at some point. I think a lot of people feel that way. But the Chiefs have really come through in these games. And again, what did I say at the beginning of the podcast? You're going to get every team's best shot. That's just the way it works. That's just the way it works. Bob is asking about tomorrow's games. I don't have it in front of me. I think the Bills game is first. They're going to be on either ABC or ESPN. I think ESPN2 might also be involved on the broadcast. I'm not 100% sure. That's usually how it works for these Monday Night Football doubleheaders. I like the Monday Night Football doubleheaders. I think it's a little weird they do it after a couple weeks and not in week one like they used to for so long. I remember the Chiefs were part of the Monday Night Football doubleheader in 2010, and it carried over into Tuesday morning because the Chiefs were the second of the 2 games, so that game went past midnight. So very, very rare occasion where the Chiefs had a game on a Tuesday morning. You don't see that often, but that did happen in 2010. By the way, Patrick Mahomes made history in this game. Patrick Mahomes has played his 99th game in the NFL. Next week will be his 100th game, and I think that we're just talking regular season games. And he has the most wins in his first 100 games of his career. I don't have that exact number in front of me. I can look that up real quickly. But man, he's off to a great start to his career, as we all know. But when you see this kind of thing, it just really puts it into perspective. I mean, people love to bring up. So Mahomes, here it is. Mahomes has the most wins with 77 in his first 100 games, which, by the way, he hasn't played 100 games yet. He has played 99, passing both Roger Staubach and Tom Brady. Both of them had 76, and Mahomes can make it 78 next week. Mahomes and Kelsey already have like the most connections, I think, of all time in the postseason. So many other stats there. Most connections in the playoffs. That is just huge. That is big. So I love seeing that. I really do. 77th career win, surpassing two greats, Tom Brady and Roger Staubach. And by the way, it's the first 100 games, and Mahomes has yet to play his 100th. He will play that next week. Really cool. Really cool. All right. That'll do it for this edition of the Chief Zone podcast. Appreciate everyone who called into the podcast tonight. Some great calls, some great conversations, great comments for those of you who didn't call in. Thank you guys. Everyone on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you guys have been awesome tonight. Thank you all for calling in to tonight's episode of the Chief Zone podcast. Hey, before I get out of here, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will comment with the YouTube link right now. So if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to get that up. We're putting a lot more video content out there this year than we have all of last year already. So we'll definitely appreciate it if you guys continue to share those. Let a friend know. Subscribe to that podcast on there. We still do Facebook also, don't get me wrong, but we're trying to get YouTube utilized as well. So please make sure you're subscribed to that, and please continue to like, comment, share all the posts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you're following me, Threads, TikTok, because that really helps push out the podcast with the algorithm and all of that stuff. And I know you guys are doing that because the numbers have really gone up. This is by far the best first 3 weeks we've had in the history of the podcast and all the social media we're doing. So thank you guys so much for doing all of that, spreading the word, supporting me, supporting the page, supporting the podcast, all of that stuff. That really does go a long way. So thank you guys so much for doing all of that. That'll do it. I'm Farzee Vasugian. Thank you all for downloading, listening, calling, commenting, all of that good stuff. I will talk to you all tomorrow night. Take care.